9 weeks ago on September 17th, Indiana announced this game as a sellout, the fourth ever in program history. And as of 2 hours ago, before gameplay, tickets to get in the door were $652. So not only is it the hottest ticket in town, but one of the hardest tickets to get, as people want to see a top Nebraska team come into Wilkinson Hall and take on Indiana. They made it all the way to the national championship before losing to Ohio State. Now he's back here again in a semifinal game with another team, obviously that being the Hoosiers. Now you've got some decorations going on to be a part of a group like this, and for your whole team to take this series in the dominant fashion like they did. What does that say about your team and the Oregon Ducks? Followed by a 3 on the other end, and that 5-minute surge gave the Hoosiers a 5-point lead. Taylor Minnick is a rat when it comes to her craft. That's the word that head coach Shonda Stanton used to describe Minnick as a player when I spoke to her earlier this week. These teams have met 38 consecutive times in the history of this rivalry, and Indiana leads in wins. However, last year in 2024, St. Louis snapped the Hoosiers' 7-game win streak in the series 2-0. And historical, I think, is the perfect word to describe this series. Both teams have their fair share of national titles, and when I talked to St. Louis head coach Kevin Kalish this morning, he said this matchup just means a lot for college soccer. And now my favorite fun fact from this series: St. Louis has not won in Bloomington since September 5th, 1999, when Jeff DiMaria scored the game-winning goal. And now his son, Jack, is a freshman on the roster this year for St. Louis. Loud was the word that he used to describe his old swing. He said his hands were sloppy, and since then, they've really calmed his hands down, transitioned the load, and his swing is now more rotational and not as linear, attributing to his success. Charlie, you've been in some high-pressure situations before. What are some words of advice you have for these riders who might be feeling some pre-race nerves? We saw more explosive plays last game, which I think is huge. We had not really seen those in week 1 and week 2, and that was something that Signetti had talked about he wanted to see more of. You mentioned the struggle, and at the end there it got close. What did you guys do and communicate to pull through that? A rider who had a really interesting off-season story, Cutters rider Judah Thompson, he spent 2 months in Thailand over the summer, and while he was there, he competed in some races, visited some family, and even participated in an internship related to his studies at IU. But he told me his biggest takeaway from that trip in Thailand was that he actually spent a lot of time with some monks. And in that time, it really helped him mentally. He said that it's something that just gave him a new perspective on life, and he has used that in prepping for this race today, both on and off the bike. Hoosiers also rotated their pitching staff throughout the game, and a lot of the younger arms saw their time on the mound Tuesday. It's Heisman weekend in New York, and the stage is set for one of the most anticipated nights in college football. Hoosiers are 12-0 and undefeated for the first time in program history. Now they get a rematch against Ohio State nearly 1 year later. Really attacking and putting a lot of pressure on your goal in that second half, and yet you met them at every moment. What was your mindset and your strategy through that second half? With it being a 12-team playoff, it's almost like if your team's not making it in the playoff, or if you're not having a really, really successful run, it just feels like every coach is then automatically on a chopping block. So it's a hard landscape to be in right now. But once he caught it and came down, from up there, it genuinely, there was no doubt that he was down in that end zone. Welcome to the Hoosier Report, presented by the Hoosier Network. I'm Ava Wegenke, and there's been a lot to break down in Indiana athletics this week. So without further ado, let's get into it. Men's basketball opened its season last Friday in an exhibition game at Assembly Hall. The first under new head coach Darren DeVries, and the Hoosiers dominated with a win 107-46. Trent Sicily and Tucker DeVries both led the way, scoring 23 points each. And volleyball kept things rolling on Sunday with a 3-1 win over Ohio State. Their 15th victory of the season and 6th in conference play, Avery Tatum reached a major milestone, recording her 1,000th career kill after putting up 10 against the Buckeyes. Freshman Jaden Jager also shined with 16 kills, 7 digs, and 3 aces. On the pitch, Indiana men's soccer continues to impress under head coach Todd Yeagley. The 14th-ranked Hoosiers picked up a 4-1 win over Wisconsin on Tuesday. Senior Palmer Alt tallied 3 assists, helping Indiana climb from 6th to 4th in the Big Ten standings. And finally, football continues to make noise across the country as the number 2 ranked Hoosiers improved 7-0 after a 38-13 win over Michigan State on homecoming weekend. Quarterback Fernando Mendoza was nearly flawless, going 24 for 28 for 332 yards and 4 touchdowns. Receivers Omar Cooper Jr., Elijah Surratt, and E.J. Williams combined for 17 catches, 244 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The victory came shortly after head coach Curt Cignetti signed a contract extension with Indiana through 2033. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Hoosier Report. Make sure you're following the Hoosier Network on all social media to keep up with everything Indiana athletics. Every bike race comes down to one moment, a deciding factor, something that separates even the strongest of competitors.
I mean, there were honestly inclinations earlier on in the race that kind of told me that something might have been afoot.
We're going to see them cue off each other again. You couldn't design a better pit strategy.
It's a fake. Oh, both don't exchange. Whoa,
we made critical mistakes, and they ended up being stronger.
Now SAE is determined not to let those mistakes happen again.
Obviously, we need to know a lot about ourselves, but also just know the personnel of other teams and know what they want to do. You know, maybe we'll be more aware this year of when BKB wants to attack. I mean, they've done the last 2 years at 150, so I don't know how we didn't see it.
The mission hasn't changed this season, but the drive to achieve it has reached another level.
And everything has been purposeful in our training, recovery, and watching film. Everything, all the preparation is just, it's to win.
For the past 3 years, SAE has held the same standard to try and win at everything they do.
I mean, it's all I've really thought about. Like, we've trained, I've trained for 3 years, the seniors for 4 years. Our whole college experience has been kind of focused around winning this bike race, so, it'd be huge to finally, get one.
Indiana football has their first Heisman Trophy winner in quarterback Fernando Mendoza. The award was handed out Saturday night after 2 days of events here in New York City leading up to the big ceremony.
I would have never thought this would be possible, but through unwavering belief in my faith, through everybody instilling that in me, I've been able to get to this point, and it's just such an honor.
Mendoza, whom was emotional when accepting the award, was up against other finalists like Ohio State's Julian Sayin, Vanderbilt's Diego Pavia, and Jeremiah Love for Notre Dame. This exclusive award goes to the best player in college football. However, according to Mendoza, it is bigger than just himself.
What makes this award so special is I get to share it with the locker room, share it with Bloomington, and bring it for the first time to Indiana.
Following the ceremony, his teammates greeted him with chants and cheering. Excited for their quarterback to bring the hardware home.
This award, like I said to them, we're gonna have this bad boy in the locker room. We're gonna take pictures with it. We're gonna enjoy it as much as we can, and just having them here tonight means the world.
Coming to you from Times Square in New York City, I'm Ava Wegenke for the Hoosier Network. Indiana football defeated Michigan State 38-13 on Saturday in a rivalry battle for the Old Brass Spittoon. IU keeping the trophy in Bloomington and advancing their record to 7-0.
And I thought Michigan State played really hard, and offensively they've got some weapons.
The Spartans came into this game with nothing to lose. They had yet to win in conference play, and it was going to be up to Indiana to make some big plays and win the game. Importantly, the Hoosiers needed to not be complacent.
We really made a big emphasis, like we do every game, to have a hot start. We've seen teams come off a big win and be complacent, and Coach Cignetti made that a point throughout the week to never be complacent, treat this team, which they're an amazing team, to treat them like every single play is the game-winning play. And so I think that when we had that mindset, we knew we needed to start hot. We didn't want to be complacent, and Michigan State had a great scoring drive. We knew that we needed to go down there and help our defense because our defense helps us so many times throughout the entire season.
Quarterback Fernando Mendoza, adding to his Heisman campaign, had 24 completions out of 28 passing attempts for 332 yards and 4 touchdowns. Cignetti saying he's never had a quarterback like him.
He continues to improve. He continues to prepare like nobody I've ever been around. And he's getting better and better.
And despite some rainy weather rolling through Bloomington, Indiana's receiving corps had no issues finding the ball. Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper Jr. with a combined 12 catches for 185 yards, scoring 3 of the Hoosiers' 5 touchdowns.
It allows us to go out there and play more free, and knowing that you can't just double team one person because we got more weapons than you can hold just a double team.
And Hoosier fans stuck it out as well through the rainy weather. Chants of Heisman Mendoza heard at one point ringing throughout Memorial Stadium. Fernando said he heard the chants, but it's really about his team.
We do have a lot of season left, and right now I'm just focused on UCLA. We have so many great players on our team, and I think that we play even better when we play as one. So I'm just trying to, whatever spotlight that I might get from the offensive success, I'm just trying to dish it out to all of my teammates because they really deserve it, and they're the unsung heroes.
Next, Indiana faces the UCLA Bruins at home in Bloomington. For the Hoosier Network, I'm Ava Wegenke.